Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and I'd like to welcome you to Pride of Olympus. Today I'm here with the Chandlers, Tina and Brian, and we'll be discussing different things of interest. Greetings and welcome. How are you today?
Doing
We
fine.
we've been blown about, rained on a bit, but we're still standing strong.
I like to hear that. That's awesome. Um, I wanted to continue with some of the things that we started last time discussing. But before we do that, anything new and exciting happened on the science fiction front or in any sphere you'd like to talk about? Brian.
Been rather quiet on the sci-fi front, actually. I guess Lower Decks is coming out with a new season pretty soon. Beyond that, I haven't really heard of anything.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. So thank you for telling me something new. I look forward to that. I like Lower Decks.
It's okay.
And Tina, have you heard anything?
Um, Not from the sci-fi view. We were talking about video games. There's a couple new video games coming out, like with the Five Nights at Freddy's. Also, there's another PC mascot horror game that's going to be coming out, or is coming out. It's called Indigo Park. And Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit, which is based on their first book that they, like an anthology set that they wrote, was called Into the Pit. And
Mhm.
it reminds me of the old 80s games as well.
They have tie-dyed Five Nights at Freddy's characters. I saw those the other day, and I wondered if there was a story attached to them, or somebody just thought it'd be a cool idea to do like psychedelic tie-dyed animatronics.
No, I think that's with wanted, or there is one that's it's not exactly an official Five Nights game, but the characters are types of colors, and some characters are more. So no, downloading that game. We're not going to do that game right now.
We have a slight echo again, so just letting you know.
Okay, sorry.
Um, I haven't heard anything new coming out sci-fi either. I kind of stopped watching Star Wars related things, and I'm even out of touch with Star Trek. Recently, Babylon 5, there was that animated movie, and then I've heard a bunch of rumors, but nothing's happened. I keep hearing rumors about Stargate, but nothing there seems to be happening. Beyond the limited series they had that was like a prequel to Stargate, I haven't heard anything happening there. And someone on one of the shows told me that some properties like Your have been picked up again, and they might be reissuing Your or Krull, old sword and sorcery movies from the past. So, but that's pretty much above all what I've heard. Um, and while we talked about sword and sorcery, are you guys into sword and sorcery at all?
Oh yeah.
The genre movies, books, yes.
Awesome. So those are your favorites?
Fantasy, sci-fi, sword and sorcery, D&D. Yeah.
Brian, which sword and sorcery do you like?
I'm a Conan fan. Always have been. Movies like Excalibur and Crawl and things like that. Those are always good ones.
Good. I have people to invite on the new show. We launched a new sword and sorcery show. Right now, it's a variety show. It has different segments and with different people talking about different topics. But I want to evolve it like I did my TV show Once Upon a Time. And I want to even integrate some of the people that were involved in my TV show, like a reunion type of thing. I had a show
Hmm.
called The Barbarian, and I used to wander around New York with a sword strapped to my back, a big barbarian sword, and I used to wear fur and leather, and I was uh, much heftier than I currently am. And I had a camera crew who were my minstrels who followed me around and kind of filmed what was happening. And that was going on, and that September 11th happened. And the people who were here with the machine guns and camo all over bridges and subway stations did not know who I was. So they'd always like make me stop. Then they had to check me out. They were always told, no, they know they know who he is in New York. He just leave him alone. He's not going to bother anybody with the sword. So I'd wander around, but I kept getting stopped too often. So I left the sword at home. It's Pamela. Hello, Pamela. Hi. It says passcode, and then there's an ID number. Oh, okay. Yeah, that would confuse me if that happened to me. Okay, yeah, try again with using the link. And the two pieces of information you should be able to gather. Something comes up sometimes asking for a password, even if you're going the password route. Just ignore it and just deal with the link in the two pieces of information you have to enter. Well, thank you for letting us know. You'll be missed if you don't make it. I'm a bit out of it today. I'm very tired, so forgive me for like slurring my words and stuttering over them. Okay, Pam's gonna try to get on again. I've posted it and Tina, you responded. I've been having the weird communication problems online where there weren't any before. Like twice now, I had no access to personal messaging on Facebook. I couldn't read them. I couldn't send them. I couldn't link to them through the tops of posts. Just nothing. And then it would fix itself, and I figured it would be fixed. And the next day, the same thing happened again. So I don't know what that's about. And now there is a new square that says password and whatnot. I've just been ignoring it. And it's been working, even though I ignore it. But that's on the LinkedIn.
Yeah, I've been having weird things go on with the Facebook app on my phone too. Sometimes it'll come up and just work absolutely fine, and other times it'll sit there and spin and spin and spin and spin and do absolutely nothing. So,
Yeah, the spinning I get too. Even my posting images, that used to work automatically. Now it sits there and spins for a while. And if I try to rush it, I get all sorts of weird glinking sounds. So I just let it do its thing, or I'll just close it and come back to it later when have more patience.
yeah, I think it's all that new stuff since they went to the whole meta they're doing Facebook and Instagram and all these other things. What algorithm they're using is screwing everything up, because I have problems with Instagram all the time.
Yeah, the problems did start after they did that whole national thing that they were doing where they got everything at the same time. And ever
Mm-hmm.
since then, I've been having all sorts of weird little problems with things. And again, my knowledge is very basic, and the things I do are pretty primitive, I guess, by the standards of what people are doing, what you could possibly do, but it works. And now it hasn't been working very well. And long delays too uh, have been experienced, or things that I get on very easily, I can't get on very quickly anymore. Sometimes my Kindle, even I can't get on my Kindle.
Yeah, I do everything through my phone for the most part. So if it goes down for whatever reason, I'm out of luck.
You're more futuristic than I am. I like doing it on my computer. My phone, I just want my phone to take phone calls. I don't
If
want
it
to
was up
track
to me,
them.
if it was up to me, I'd be on a regular computer all the time. But you know,
Not in the phone.
everything's going to phones now.
Well, people with more knowledge than us will address that or not address it, and I hope it corrects itself because it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And Pamela hasn't made it yet. Um, and I forgot what point I was dwelling on before. Do you remember?
Sword and sorcery.
Sword and Sorcery. Yes, we started the first Sword and Sorcery show, and we had people talking about movies. We had people talking about comic books, and so forth. So every episode will be either the fourth or the fifth Monday of each month, and it'll be on Zoom. And everybody will have a topic beforehand that they'll talk about. And
Oh,
so this way we'll hit upon different topics, and we have three regulars already. The people who are on the show wanted to be on the show again, and then we have people who are interested who I'd love to have on. So both of you are in that category. So I will add you to the list and you'll be on the next one if you're free.
Okay, sounds good.
Tina, I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I said that sounds great. I mean, with the old sword and sandal, sword and sorcery movies,
Yeah, the
I
Sword and Sandal we
know
have
they're lovely
show.
guys and things like that, but it is more classical. I mean, when you see these films like Conan, Red Sonja, um, Excalibur, anything like that, with the old special effects and everything like that, Jason and the Argonaut. I mean, watching the old CGI, but watching it better than the stuff they have today.
Yeah, I love those. I look for them in the bargain bins of dollar stores still. And today I found a Sword and Sorcery movie I'd never seen before, so I'm going to be watching that. And the old movies, which I have somewhere in a box from when after the storm, everything got boxed, and I have no idea where anything is anymore. But I have all these old Sword and Sorcery movies, and now they've become ridiculously expensive. Before they were dirt cheap, you could pick them up. Now they want $80 for like a DVD disc or more. So we'll be talking about those. There are new sword and sorcery movies coming out as well. There was one where they gender switched Conan. So they spelled Conan Conann, and it was Conan was a time traveler who traveled back in time and killed herself because she wasn't barbaric enough back then. Uh,
Okay.
That was one of the scenarios. We're backwards and forwards in time. And yesterday, Nicholas Dyack and Michelle Brittany talked about Crawl.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so those are the movies we could be touching on. If somebody did one on a movie that you want to do, that's fine too. You more than one person can talk about more the same movie because everybody's perspective and focus will be a little different. We already have a show that's been around for years now called Sword and Sandal Cinema, and all the Greco-Roman Egyptian stuff will stay there. The sword and sorcery will be like the 80s, the 70s and 60s fiction and the 80s movies, those type of things. Conan, Thongor, Kull, Kothar, Kirik, Hark of the Golden Tide, all those obscure and sometimes less obscure barbarians. So we'll be primarily focused on barbarian movies. And we talked a bit about the cultural impact of the movies. Like I pointed out that to me, the movies were very similar to the samurai movies or to even cowboy movies in a sense that the message was that one person who wasn't a god, who wasn't of royal blood or whatever, could basically challenge an entire society and win. And that's a powerful message. So that's what I found in them. And Michelle Brittany talked about how the heroic journey that Campbell talks about, how that's reflected in Sword and Sandal, and that's what she gets out of it. So, I'd be interested to know what you guys get out of it also.
Okay.
Are you doing TV shows too?
Yeah, we're doing TV shows too.
Okay. Because there's a couple I used to watch when I was growing up. One was called Wizards and Warriors.
I remember that.
There was one called Roar with Heath Ledger.
I don't remember that. Oh, yes, that's the one in the Roman Empire with Longinus and was
Yeah.
that War? Yeah, okay.
It was like one season or half a season or something like that. And then there was one Covington Cross.
That I never saw.
The funny thing about that one is the guy that was playing the lead and his wife slash girlfriend in the show were the two actors that played Arthur and Guinevere in Excalibur.
Oh, wow.
Same two actors. So
Yeah, I loved Merlin in Excalibur. That was a very eccentric performance. That was my favorite Merlin on.
yeah, he was good.
I can still
That whole
play
movie.
them after all these years. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, that whole movie was good.
I remember seeing it in the theater. I remember passing the poster and saying, I have to see this. And then within a few days, I went to see it. And unlike some of the movies, which were disappointments, I still love them anyway because they were sword and sorcery. But that one delivered. Excalibur was a very powerful film and it delivered. The performances were good. The story was good. The effects were good.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny about that too. Is we were talking about Crawl earlier. That was actually Liam Neeson's first movie.
Yes.
He was in Excalibur too. Played one of the knights.
The scholars from the Edge of Time brought that up yesterday about Liam Neeson, and he was in Crawl also.
Yeah. But that had a lot of stars before they were stars. It had Liam Neeson, Patrick Stewart. It was names you know now, but back then they were nobodies.
Well, I'm glad this helped them on their path to become somebodies. And a third show will be launching at some point. I've had specials on it, but I want to do it as a continuous show called Sword and Planet Cinema. And that would be things like Star Wars, like Crawl, that take place on other planets specifically, like the Gore movies. There were two of those. So if they're kind of like barbarian movies in outer space, and Athena and I used to have a show called Thor and Moonen's Otherworld Adventures: Barbarians in Space, and that was a radio opera with some like reviews and stuff and thrown in and movie clips and whatnot. And so that was after Athena and I linked up, we had a bunch of shows, and that was one of them. So I want to bring back people from that radio opera as well and get them involved in the show. I think I'm not getting any younger, and it'll be good to see people that I haven't seen or talked to in like decades. So that's my quest.
Cool.
Well, this will be interesting to talk about two Gore movies because fan of Gore and uh, the books definitely a heck of a lot different than the movies.
Yes, the movie was very mild compared to the books. The books were very S&M-y and
Oh, yes.
and I remember the Society for Creative Anachronism had a Gorian component to it, and they were trying to live out the life described in the books, and it was very odd.
Yeah, it would be not exactly a scam. I mean, down here in Primaris, it was like well known about that.
Did you read the books too, Brian? The Gore books?
No.
Oh Lord.
I should one of these days, but I didn't.
In one of them, it was Beowulf, basically. They took the Beowulf story, I think it was number 9 or number 8, something like that, and they made it into like a Gorian adventure. And I was a big fan of Beowulf. I have somewhere in the basement or in the attic, I have a whole crate of books on Beowulf. And so I got a kick out of that when I read it. And then I gave up because they started the same, it was like the same things being said over and over and over again in the same situations over and over and over again. So I stopped reading them. I think when I was in like book 10 or 11, and I just let them go after that.
Which one, the Beowulf?
No, the Gore.
Gore? Yeah.
Yeah, I read a bunch of them, and then they just started to seem too similar.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought they'd make more movies too, but they didn't. They just made the 2 movies, and that was it.
Well, exactly. Like I said, you've read them. How in the world are you going to bring that to cinema without being rather more than PG-13, shall we say?
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever adopt them, especially the way we're becoming more prudish again, so we're going back to how things were before they became a lot more liberal and liberated. So I don't see those movies being made now at all. And I think that if they made the movies more true to the books, there would have been a lot of controversy surrounding them, and then the controversy surrounding the books would have been brought into it, and it would have been made a very big slash. As it was, the movies went pretty much unnoticed, unless you're a hardcore fan of the books or sword and sorcery. you didn't even know that those books existed or came out.
Well, I get by my brother-in-law. It was embarrassing too, the way he did it. Oh my God. When he met my 29 for the first time, he looked at it and says, "Oh, you look like a couple of five couple of girls." What the heck are you talking about?
Yeah, I remember there were a lot of would-be Gorian masters
Oh,
back then who wanted their Kajiras,
hi.
There was quite a fandom too. I remember not only with the Society for Creative Anachronism, but at science fiction conventions and comic book conventions. There were Gorians at times too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen pictures from things like Dragon Con and back early when San Diego Comic Con was starting, of people being in costume and role playing, those kind of things.
Yeah, I have been out of like fandom for quite a while. I was very active in fandom from the mid 80s, I guess, to the mid 90s, and then I started my TV shows and things like that. So I got less active in fandom. But fandom seems to be very different now. Like we didn't call cosplay, first of all, and you couldn't make a lot of the stuff that they can 3D print now. So the costumes were a lot more primitive. And even it was even before LARPing, the aspects of assuming a role, which we did at the conventions with fandom and just, get really into the character. But now it seems to have like taken new directions, and I can't relate to the new fandom. How were you guys with the new fandom?
The problem with fandom these days is it's gone quote unquote mainstream. So, there's a lot of people that get into it that know absolutely nothing about the characters. They just want to dress up and look good. And when they do that, that kind of waters down the whole aspect of having somebody in a costume playing the character anyway. Because you'll have one or two of them actually going, okay, yeah, I'm being the character at this point. And other ones going, look at me, click on my website, see me in other costumes.
Right, or without other costumes.
Exactly. So it kind of defeats the purpose of actually being in a costume when that happens.
How about you, Tina? What are your thoughts on fandom, the new fandom?
Well, I would have to agree with Brian. You can tell when you interacting with these people that are dressed in costume and cosplay, if they know a lot about the characters or they just watch enough of the character to see how the costume moves and everything else. It takes it away. I mean, we've got a couple of friends. One he cosplays as Thor quite a bit. And, Bruce, like all of it. And the person that which you know what I'm talking about, Brian.
Who, Heather?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does Rogue.
Okay.
And she has different versions of the character. She's got like the comic book version, and she's got a movie version, and she's got one that she calls a burlesque rogue. That's kind of a steampunk sort of version of it. But when she gets into the character, she gets into the character. She does the accent for it. She does the mannerisms for it. She does all that. And you would think she is the character versus somebody just walking around in spandex.
Yeah, I miss that because people used to really get into, even if it was an invented character that wasn't part of anything official, they really got into the character and role played the role. We used to hold these events called Pterodactyl, which were like Klingon councils, and people really used to get into the role and dress up, and there would be a lot of theatrics and drama, and again, there were performances. Some people got stuck in them and took them way too serious, like with role playing. Some people would get really serious in like role playing games, and something happened to the character, and it would be major drama. But I enjoyed that, and there was we've talked about this before. There was storytelling that wound up being like published in fanzines. So people would have these things where they submitted chapters, and the editor or the dungeon master or the game master or whatever you want to call them they would like edit the stories to fit into the bigger universe and the events that they'd created. And then there'd be like a new chapter published every couple of months. And then eventually there would be like a fanzine that you can get at the conventions. And there were some fanzine dealers. So I don't see a lot of that creativity happening anymore. And also our technology is kind of ruined it because from what I've seen of the new games set in Star Trek, you can actually see yourself and other people being avatars on an actual bridge and having everything play out beyond your imagination using computer graphics. So for a lot of people, why should you sit around a table and do a role-playing game, or why should you write stories that are being slowly edited and so forth when you put yourself in an immersive world where you're right there making decisions. There could be actual representations of characters that you like or respect, and you could have an adventure like that. And I don't know how to answer that. I would prefer real people sitting on a real table doing, gaming, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with everything being online anymore. Is if you want to write a story, you can go on fan fiction and write it, or if you want to do graphics, you can do Photoshop, or if you want to do costumes, you can do AI costumes. Nobody's got to build anything anymore. So
Yeah,
that kind of,
go ahead.
I was gonna say that just kind of cuts down on the creativity, I think.
Yeah, I
And
think the same thing. Tina?
Yeah. And we've talked about this before, the art of storytelling. We were talking about the art story that we were doing, and just storytelling in general. It is an art, and like going to get back to the Klingons. I mean, Brian and I have got a good story about what happened at one convention with the ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, when the Order of the Plastic Spork came out after that, but I mean,
Plastic
all
spork?
these people, huh?
The Order of the Plastic Spork? Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah. All right. Short form of the story is when we used to go to the cons. These were spaced out, every 3-4 months, and they would always have the Klingon Council gathering and the big ceremony and whatnot in the lobby of the hotel. And they had this one right after DS9 started, the thing with the Klingons and the changelings and all that, where they were trying to do the blood ceremony thing, where the Klingons would slice their hands and show the blood and whatnot. And sorry. And one of the guys got so into the storyline, he had actually had a blood bag on the back of his hand, and he was supposed to take this real Doc Tog knife and slice the back of his hand at the bag and go, look, this is real blood. I'm no changeling. And he got so into it, he just grabbed the knife in the front of his hand and just pulled it hard and sliced the whole palm of his hand open, really sliced it open, because this was a real sharp knife. And he sits there for a second and he goes, oh, blood. And his eyes roll up and he keels over backwards, full costume, just dead faint, right? So, of course, they got him stitched up and whatnot. And the next con, they come back and the first order of business, the head of the group comes up and he says, we have to present this award to Goldie, our Klingon who, shed blood for our cause and whatnot. And they made this big show of walking up and literally taking his real knife away from him and giving him a little plastic spork decorated in like Klingon glyphs.
There you go.
Handle and whole 9 yards. And they said, until you learn to actually handle a blade, this is what you carry. And he probably had that thing for like a year.
That is so funny. In New York, we actually used to cut our hands. So we didn't have fake blood or stuff. We'd actually cut our hands and then drip the blood in the outstretched hand of the Federation, and we did we worked together to bring forth a blood drive.
Oh wow!
As part of the heroic Klingon thing. Yeah, we didn't do any fake blood or anything like that.
They were just going to do this, I guess, as a thing for the con, because I guess the con people told them, no real blood, of course. We're not going to do anything. If you have the real knife in there, you have to be very careful with it, yada, yada, yada. But, he just got so into it without even thinking. He just grabbed the knife like they did on the show and just rip. Oh, blood, bud.
Yeah, we used to do that, and we used to have a room where we had our ceremonies, and we used to meet with the Federation and other groups in the room, and we had incense in there. So when you open the door, all you could see is like smoke, and then it looked like we built a campfire on the rug. We didn't, of course. We had a metal tray, and we used like things in like candles and glass candle things so that they didn't really burn outside the candle. But when you come into the room, it looked like there was like a fire pit in the middle of the floor. So yeah, and nobody was allowed in there unless they had business being there. So the rumors flew like crazy. And we had another practice. We denied nothing. So if anybody accused us of something, we would just admit to it and be proud of it. And so they said,
Yeah.
are you the group that pushed somebody who was in a wheelchair down a flight of stairs and stuff like that? So we said yes, and we would do it again. And again, along with the theatrics in the meeting room, just denying nothing earned us a really, I guess, bad or good reputation, depending on how you look at it. And eventually, we were doing security. We were handling the lines. Um, and we had a lot of fun doing that, not only with the people waiting in line, but with the celebrities. Sometimes we wouldn't let them up until they were cleared by our security, and
Mhm.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, these Klingons that did this thing for the cons here, they would always make this big procession through the con areas and do their big ceremonies right in the middle of the lobby, right in front of the elevators, so everybody in the mundanes, as they call them, could see it and just kind of go nuts with it. You'd have regular people walking through the hotel going, "What in the world is this?" So
Yeah,
they just like to make a production of it.
I remember that one year where they actually got a wedding party involved in one of their ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
they had a wedding, a Klingon wedding.
No, they crashed the wedding.
Oh, they crashed the wedding.
It was a wedding in another ballroom, and right in the middle of the ceremony, they crashed the wedding. The groom knew about it, but nobody else did.
Yeah, we had a wedding, one of the ceremony, I think in Baltimore or somewhere in Jersey, or I don't remember where at this point, or Washington, D.C. There was a Klingon couple, and I was the kind of Klingon Pope. There was an episode in Star Trek that never aired. That series was supposed to come after the original series, at a new Star Trek series, and one of the episodes there had like a Klingon Pope called a Katoomba. So everybody that should be me, and I agreed at the time too. So I used to make all sorts of ridiculous pronouncements, and I married two Klingons, and they were in their Klingon get-ups at a convention.
That's cool.
That was a lot of fun. And there were murder mysteries too that people paid for. So eventually, we were invited once, and we just told to wing it. So we winged it, and we became the central plot device. So after that, we were invited by this group. So they were all like Klingon murder mysteries, and we would always whatever script they had went out the window like halfway through. But people loved it 'cause nobody knew what was going to happen, and we tried to make it funny and profound at the same time.
That's cool.
That's awesome. We've
That's
had a triple adoption ceremony.
Oh, did tell me about it.
We did this one skit for one of the costume contests, and I was wearing a DS9 jumpsuit, and it looked like I had a fat suit on underneath it. I was absolutely just stuffed with dribbles inside this uniform.
Oh no.
And Tina's sister was playing the other person.
There's a Bajoran doctor.
And I
Okay.
walk out and I start yelling at her, how could you do this? You brought these things around here. And I unzipped the front of my uniform, and tribbles just started falling everywhere.
Oh, that is awesome.
And I'm going through this whole spiel. And I said, the worst part is one of them is chewing, and I reach down inside my uniform and I pull this one out, and he's got fangs. I said, and one of them is chewing on my nether regions. And, we we just go off on this whole thing. And when it was all over with, we probably had, 30 or 40 of these things stuffed in my uniform. And,
20.
and we were just throwing them out into the crowd, and people were just all over it. And of course, the one I wanted to keep was the one with the fangs, and Tammy threw that one in the crowd. So, and then later on, we did a kind of a sequel to it. The next one, the one with the fangs, got a little bit bigger. And when we brought him out again, he was about the size of a basketball. We had made a bigger one, and he was about the size of a basketball. And I said, this Tribble is eating everything in sight. You need to just do something with it. Handle this. And she says, well, is it talking yet? And I said, what do you mean, is it talking yet? And I kind of looked at it and I said, are you talking yet? And of course, out of the side of my mouth, the Tribble goes, yo quiero Taco Bell, because that was going on big time. And everybody just died laughing. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the people would really interact with the mythology, and it's living mythology. I don't see any difference between what we see on TV and what the storytellers of old told by a fire pit with the harp, or whatever instruments they used to tell stories back then. Because it's storytelling, and you have epic characters, and you can identify with the characters. And fan comes from fanaticus, which is somebody who is a fanatic. That's the root of the word, usually a religious fanatic, but now the word has different meaning. And even things like the being on a vessel, that's a very old practice too. The shaman to travel to other realms using a spirit boat. And so they would get together and imagine themselves all in a boat, and they would imagine themselves rowing down whatever river, like the river Acheron would be in Greek mythology, and getting to the other worlds and having adventures that were full of mythic symbolism, and then coming back and using whatever knowledge they gained to heal their tribe. And that's how I've always understood everyone belonging to like a vessel, because the vessel takes you to the astral realm, which is the imagination after all. That's where you have dreams. That's where stories come from. It's where your emotions and your desires are all floating around. So it's essentially the imagination. And for as old as humanity, for as long as humanity has been here, they've had systems like being on starships that Star Trek fans do for their Imagineers of the day, whoever they happen to be. And even the voyages that are literary, like there's so many different versions of Jason and the Argonauts from antiquity to even now, there are different versions of it. So people use their imagination again to have an adventure. They share it through film or through novels or through comic books, and other people identify with the characters, so they're part of this journey. So I see that as very ancient, and that's kind of like the direction I want to take what we're doing in, because integrating it with Star Trek fandom doesn't seem to be taking off the ground, regardless of whatever approaches have been attempted or whatever conversations have been had. So I figure maybe that's not the correct way. And I thought to myself, let's take it back to the roots. What am I trying to accomplish anyway? And then I would bounce it off everybody else. And I thought that we can do things we've already done and it seemed to enjoy, like look at how themes in science fiction are carried over into modern day folklore or popular culture. So like, for instance, in some of the other shows, we dealt with the reptoids, reptoids from UFO lore. And what has influenced the story of the reptoids more than ancient myths and more than the experiences of people who claim to have been affected by them are the writings of Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft. That seems to have built the whole reptilian legend, or given their foundation. And after that, the television series is what happened in those seem to have affected the stories of the reptoids. So I'd like to explore. We could explore science fiction and paranormal things like separately, but I'd also like to explore them together. And if we pick a species that's intergalactic or cosmic, and we could look for its roots in science fiction and in folklore, and then see where it is now and how where it is now was affected by popular culture, I think that'd make a really interesting show, and we could actually explore these new lands. How does that sound to you guys?
That's cool. I like that.
Absolutely.
Do you want to start with the Reptoids, or would you like to start with the lion people, or would you just like to start somewhere else?
Yeah, Reptoids is fine with me. I was always a big V fan, so
Yeah, I have all the V stuff sitting over there. I used to have the novels, but they got destroyed by the flood. I used to have a lot of the comic books. I have now only a handful of them, so I'm a big V fan also.
yeah, that was always one of my favorite shows growing up.
So how about for next month we start with V and we reboot this, and I'll write an introduction tying it to shamanism and the imagination, and we'll start off with that, and then we'll do Reptoids. Are any of you guys up to date with the Reptoids in UFO literature?
Trying to think of when I read. It's been a couple since I've read anything about the reptile type. I think it was early last time about it. Or so.
Brian, how about you? Are you up to it?
Yeah, I'm up for it, but I haven't read anything in quite a while about it. You know, I know generally the theories and all behind it, but I haven't kept up with any of the more recent stuff.
So do you want to be the V guy? You could talk about V, and that'll be your part in the.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Tina, what part of the Reptoid phenomena would you like to talk about?
Oh boy. There's so many different aspects. Every culture on the planet has at least their own dragon story.
Right.
So, let's see. Let me look into a couple of. Yes, can I ask a message regarding that?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Okay.
All this is being thrown nilly-willy into the air. So that's fine. I will probably talk about Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft, their Serpent People, and how that, depending if somebody else wants to talk about that, I'll let them talk about it. I'll talk about something else. And I'll check the show that I did for the UFO Entity Enigma and see if anybody there would like to talk about the modern day reptoids and where they happen to be. And we're going to restrict it to like 4 people, so everyone has a chance for like 10 minutes or 12 minutes to talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. So we have a new context. We have our first subject. So good, we'll move ahead. Since I've shared what I would like to do with this, what would you guys like to do? We're taking this journey together, so I'd like to know what you would like to see and do.
Well, you have the sorcery film, still talking about all those. That sounds really great. Still continuing on our across the stars.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Tina. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
No. Now I could hear you. Before, when you were talking, I could, the words
Okay.
sounded choppy.
Okay. Oh, great. Thought it's derailed.
I'm sorry.
What you want to see?
What
What do you want to do? That was the question.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, continuing on the sword and sorcery, the movies and the genres and visiting the old ones, and developing into the new, whether or not old films are better than newer films, but getting a people's opinion about sorcery, D&D, things of that nature. That's I'd still like to continue about.
Okay, yeah, the D&D we're gonna cover in all of them. I've been a game master, a dungeon master since the games came out in the late 70s. And I still run them for schools in Greek mythology, of course. And I also do occasionally superheroes, occasionally do sci-fi. So like this semester, I'm doing 1 superhero and 3 Greek mythology ones.
Oh wow.
So that'd be good, and we could talk about D&D. I have a show called Mythic Gaming too, and I have it once a month. I'm thinking making it twice a month. So if you guys want to talk about gaming a lot, I'll invite you to be on the second show if if you're free and you're interested to be doing that as well.
Brian's whenever we game on the dinner table before.
So what type of games do you like DMing, Brian?
Oh, I just do like old school D&D. I'm an old gamer, so to speak. So I just do like first and second edition stuff. The new stuff is just way too convoluted for what it's worth, I think.
I think too. I have a very simple system. I can teach them to play in 5 minutes, and that's pretty much it. And I elaborate it depending on the story we're telling. But all I want to do is resolve, did something happen? Did it not happen? And then to what degree did it happen or not happen? And
Exactly. I've tried to read like the fifth edition stuff, and it's just way too confusing with all the different, new tables and new rules and this and that and the other thing. I'm old school. Okay, you go into a dungeon, roll for initiative. Now
Right.
we're going. So
Yeah, I even dropped initiative. I just have it, the two people, one on each side of me roll, and whoever uh gets the higher number, it goes in their direction around the tables. So, and then it stays like that throughout the entire adventure. Some people don't like that, but they agree that when we do it the other way, and I will do it the other way just to show them, it slows down the adventure considerably. Just like perception checks every turn, that slows everything down considerably.
yeah.
So if they want to play slow, that's fine with me. If they want to play fast, that's fine with me. I let them decide. And when we do elaborations too, after usually 4 or 5 sessions, even though they like the elaborations, it's always happened where they say, "Can we go back to the old way of doing it?" It's like, sure.
Yeah. Well, we're usually one of those type of people. It's just okay, what do you want to do, and go around the table, and then if things are still going on, you go around the table again. And
Mhm.
we play it off almost like a, for lack of a better term, a role playing game, like it should be. Where you're actually in the character doing
Right.
whatever the character does. And the DM is just basically there to make things more difficult for everybody.
Or I don't think it make terms to making things more difficult. I just think it making things more challenging or more, give them a chance to tell a better heroic story. Because because otherwise they become murder hobos or
Yeah. Well, I tend to throw in comments sometime. You see a box. What do? I open the box. Oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I have them guessing through my dice rolls. It's like, oh, he rolled a 2. I wonder what that means. Sometimes it means nothing. I just roll the dice to add some.
Oh, you rolled it. You rolled it too, sucker. There's Chris getting into it.
Oh, hi, how you doing?
Our youngest son, we tried to introduce D&D to the boys, and they've already had a dose of their dad's dry sarcasm on the behind the shield, as it were.
Yeah, my youngest didn't like it when I DM'd. He disagreed with my DMing method. So he told me once when he was upset that I scarred him for life with role playing games.
Yeah, mine haven't gotten that far yet, but they look at me sometimes like, "Why did you do that to us?" Because I can.
Well, I did it because I cared. I thought I can teach him something that I was excited about. But it gave me a perspective on the things my father tried to do with me or teach me. Then I figured maybe it was the same type of thing. I wasn't interested, and that's just the thing sons do to differentiate themselves and go their own way.
Well, I told him right from the get-go. I said, when we're playing this game, I'm not your dad. I'm your DM. You are not gonna like me.
And I just looked at the time. We have enough time to close. I think this was good, even though it was a bit all over the place, because now at least there's a direction. I'll bounce it off Bob. I'll bounce it off Pamela, and I'll also bounce it off Thomas, who's going to be joining us on a more regular basis. And if they're in agreement, then we'll move forward. If they're not, we're going to do the next show anyway on the Reptoids, and then take it from there. Sound good?
Okay.
How can people find you and interact with you and enter your gaming universe?
Right now, because of all the interesting things going on with Facebook, like going with you guys too, the best way to get hold of me is through the email uss71832@yahoo.com.
And I'm easy to find on Facebook by name or by the store name of Comics, Cards, and Stuff. Either way, you'll get me.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for all the knowledge and all the experience and all the fun that you brought to tonight's kind of disjointed conversation. This will be up tomorrow morning on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
I look forward to next month.
Well, should be fun.
Okay, good night, and again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.